Just a little technical info for everyone. Um, this we are giving a try on Riverside.fm as we are going through the process of making this comic book, Turbo Pit Fighter. We were also learning how to podcast. So we were using video.ninja and OBS, the studio. But I'm going to say it here right now, the biggest hurdle is bandwidth. So I'm actually running my main computer with Ethernet. So that's just some technical I wanted to share with everybody. If you feel inclined to send me a message, my response is probably going to be YouTube it, because that's what I've been doing for the last couple of months. But there's a lot of really good channels out there that are giving insight on how to do it. The biggest thing I've been looking for is audio and video podcasting. So it's led us here. So we're gonna give it a try. If we like it, we're gonna sign up. So with that being said, how you doing, Jake?
Good. I just woke up a little while ago. Actually, yesterday was a big day. We had my daughter graduated college, and
Oh,
then then
congratulations.
then I moved all of her stuff, and I was got home at 9 and started putting it all into the garage. And so by the time I got some food and went to sleep, it was pretty on the late side, and so I'm waking up a little bit on the late side, but
All
not
right.
too bad. You sent me my heads up, and I got up and running. So just jumping in and
Yeah.
wiping off the cobwebs, trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about all week long. But we're here now, so we can get into it. We have our segments, right? and
Yeah.
and
Well, we've been doing comic book artists, famous ones, if you will, or more notable ones who have passed away. I did not see anybody in my feeds anywhere. Did you come across anybody?
no, comic book artists who died, not since last week.
All right.
So I think we left off at George Perez, and
Yeah.
we're counting down to the next one.
Yeah. I have you seen any of the murmurings going on that Frank Miller is starting a publishing company called Frank Miller Presents?
I
So,
did,
and
I
he,
did, and he's reviving Ronin and Sin City.
yeah, yeah. So it's pretty exciting. I'm hoping he goes black and white, because Ronin wasn't, but it was kind of monochromatic. And of course, Sin City was all black and white with spot colors. But that was some really good news. Um, so yeah, he's making that legacy move.
Yeah, well, he is, he's not just a comic book guy anymore. He's a Hollywood guy, whether he likes it or not. The Sin City franchise and movies was pretty successful, which means that whatever he makes now, they'll be looking to adapt it to screen as they've done before. And you got to be thinking about that in the back of your mind when you're creating your comics and your stories. Am I drawing Bruce Willis? Am I drawing somebody else?
I
Uh, he's had he's had two Sin City movies or one? I forget. Was it two?
think it's two. I
Yeah,
think it's two.
I know. Yeah, because this one of them had Elijah from The Hobbit, right? Uh, Elijah Woods
No,
was his name.
they
Yeah,
yeah they had tons of cameo appearances casting
yeah,
wise.
and right. I think what's his name from oh God, the wrestler, the guy from the wrestling movie. I'm blanking
The
out on the
Rock,
guy's. What's his
the
name?
Rock, The
No,
Rock.
no, he was in the Sin City movie. He played
Oh, yeah. Um, um,
what was
Holy
that guy's
crap.
name again? He
Mickey
used
Rourke.
Mickey Rourke.
God,
Good
yeah.
one. The
Woo.
memories working. The memories working.
Yeah. Yeah, the wrestler is a phenomenal movie. Um,
Yeah, I know. People are coming
and
back
he's
to it again.
perfect
Again.
for Marv. He's perfect for Marv.
Right.
Yeah. Jake, let me interrupt you for a second. We have technical difficulties. You are not recording right now. Is there anything on your? Okay. Yeah. No, you just came. Okay.
I think I'm back.
Yeah, you are. You're recording again. What did it? What
Okay.
did it say? What did it say?
It said frame something happened with my frame. I forget already. I have bad short-term memory.
It's all right.
Uh,
It was it the app telling you this?
yeah, I got a message saying that I had to rejoin.
Okay. All right. So we'll pick up. We go back a little bit more on. So let's start at. You know, Ronin was before Dark Knight.
Um, oh yeah, I forgot about Dark Knight, right? So yeah, I'm not sure the sequence, but from what I know, he went from Daredevil to Sin City, and then I mean, I think Ronin, and then Sin City. But just an incredible career, and there's a lot we don't know about where he was hiring people behind the scenes, and he was like kind of like I don't know, a mentor or a guide, for other creators like Jeff Darrow, and that yeah, because Hard Boiled was another thing.
Oh,
He was
he,
the writer, you know.
yeah. Well, he paid him outrightly, however you want to put
Yeah,
it. Yeah, he was. Darrow was just hey, here's the idea.
yeah, and Darrow has his interview
It was like
online.
A Kirby and Stan Lee type of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be like it could be like hey, I own this property. I'm hiring you for a page rate, and here's your cash, and then you keep your originals. Or it could be like, hey, we're partners, and this is an investment, so I want you to put your best into it because it could be continuing royalties and toy sales and all kinds of stuff. But nobody knows what arrangement they had. That's all private contracts, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. He's a regular on the cartoonist kayfabe. So and they do they check out Hard Boiled, I believe, with Mr. Darrow. So
Uh-huh. But they haven't had Miller, right? So,
no, I don't know if Miller would do something that intimate, like a podcast, comic book wise. I don't know. He does a lot of like journalist interviews I've seen that are on YouTube. Sci-Fi Channel, I think, has done a couple of them.
well, comic kayfabe. I've only seen a couple of episodes since you turned me on to it, but it seems like they really get a lot into the contractual stuff, and they really get a
Yeah,
little bit, nosy about, what those contracts meant and how much everybody's getting paid because at this point it is, important historic precedent, right?
yeah,
And I listened for hours to the testimony of John Byrne, when somebody was suing, I think it was Marv Wolfman or somebody was suing, and they needed to know like what was normal and what was precedent, and these agreements that they signed. I think there was like some kind of thing on every page that they turned in that had like a disclaimer, and then Marvel, from the goodness of their heart, went back in later, and they would give like a 1% or a 2% bonus to people that had clearly created a character while they were working for hire, and the character caught on and did other things. So, I guess that was nice, but it was really a pittance. Although John Byrne said, he made millions over his career. He said, I made X million on this book and X million on that book, and he was freely admitting to these guys. Oh no, I'm sorry, under questioning in this civil case. But I just Frank Miller strikes me as somebody that wouldn't want to be divulging all that. I don't know. I just get the vibe.
Oh, you know what? Joe Kubert's school has a YouTube channel, and I believe they had a big like Q&A session with him. It's been a while since I've seen that, but
Joe Kubert,
Joe Kubert School.
yeah. Well, he hasn't. I don't think he's worked on Marvel DC books since '70s, right?
Yeah, well, he's been running the school, and that way he passed away too.
Oh, really? Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he was a famed artist of let's see now, Sergeant Rock,
Yeah.
and which one of the barbarians was it? Was it Turok or
No,
something?
it was Tor. It was a
Tor,
caveman. Tor.
Tor, Tor.
Tor.
Yeah. And I think he had runs on like Ragman, and he must have done some Batman at some point, right? And
Yeah, he did a lot.
one title or the other.
It's kind of like an art director, I think, if not an art director for DC.
Well, yeah, his school was pretty successful.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of kids that over going to New Jersey, and I think it was like a full-time accredited.
Yep.
Was it a 2-year school or a
Yeah, 2 year
4 year?
associate. Yeah, associate's degree.
Yeah, an accredited 2-year associate's degree to learn the comic game, and then a lot of these guys actually go on to work for the bigs.
Yeah, I mean you're right there. I mean I think your final project is some like backstory, if they they got to go to press and they need something on the
Oh,
fly,
right, really?
you would they would basically have you do that, and then it would sit there, and if it got printed, I guess you'd get paid. Something to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you're graduating and you want to be pro, you can make a backstory on spec,
Yeah.
and then these guys have the connections so that if DC is like, oh man, we're really behind here, let's call up the Kubert School see if they got anything. And they could also, and if something isn't like great, they could have somebody on staff just kind of punch it up too. You know, like this is good, but we got to have a professional like go over some of the line work, or maybe fix one panel right here. Otherwise, everything else is good and um, exciting. So that's cool. I mean, I'm a teacher too, so I'm hoping this summer to do a comic book mini course, but I'm only dealing with young kids. I'm dealing with sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, so I'm not expecting too much professional level stuff.
But it's a good way to get started.
Yeah, well, you gotta get them early.
Have you ever
Um,
seen any of these like you make a comic book in 24 hours, 24-hour challenge?
no. I haven't.
Yeah, look some up. They're actually educationally wise. They have a lot of really good elements you can kind of lean on because you're obviously not trying to do exactly what we're trying to do right now, which is spend 24 hours on one panel, that type of thing. It's more about the flow, and how do you get into an idea? How do you maintain that idea, scale that idea, and obviously have the confines of 24 hours. So you have to be realistic, a lot of shorthand. Um, yeah, the art school down by me, DCAD, friend of mine. I don't know if he's still teaching there, but they would do a weekend animation challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of in that same vein where, you came up with the concept and then you had 3 days to do it, which, like all good artists, you end up waiting till the last minute. So you're in the editing room all night long.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way educationally to get in.
I wonder, my kid just graduated um, college yesterday with a degree in communications and media. So,
Mm.
in other words, I don't, it's like a stem cell degree. Who knows what she's going to be going into? But I wonder what schools have a, really strong comic art program. Like SVA had a couple of courses. I don't know if they had like any kind, as part of any degree. Maybe Savannah or RISD has some good programs. But if you're listening to this and you want to send your kid, to become a professional comic book artist, does academia, especially in this day of high-priced colleges, have anything for people, or should they go over to Jersey and go to Joe Kubert's school?
Well, it's a tough game to get that tuition back, in comic books.
Right. Well, if
You're
you're getting an art degree anyway, though, maybe they have a minor.
Yeah. Well,
You know.
there's but the industry as a whole, I think, has really moved into um, self-publishing, if that's kind of what's being done. Like we're self-publishing.
Hmm.
Um, I and I know there's comic companies, as publishers that still have submissions and stuff, but it just seems like it all comes down to how much of it you have done, how big your Instagram following is, the consistency in your behavior, and there's basically a product at the end of your personal journey, and then you get a
Well, there's two.
publishing deal.
There's two paths. That as I see it, the one path is you could go be an intern. And if you start out like, emptying garbage pails and getting coffee, eventually you'll find your way in because you have access and you can say, "Hey, I've been working on pages, on my spare time," and you start to show it, and you're right there with the editors, and you're waiting for the moment when somebody's sick and or somebody's behind on a deadline, or or somebody had a blow up and they rip their pages up in a tantrum, and then they're like, "Hey, kid, what do you got?" So that's like, the rags to riches story of a lot of these guys, including Stanley himself. He was just a copy boy, he was just there because his uncle was the owner of Timely Comics. But the other way is what John Byrne did and what a lot of others did, and you just publish your stuff and go to conventions and show it around, and then it either catches the eye of somebody or doesn't. Some people wait online on those portfolio reviews, and you could hit the big time. It all depends on your stuff. I mean, again, if you're considering a career in comics, Kurt is absolutely right. Going to formal school is just so expensive that maybe you just want to, try to get an internship or work under an artist. There's lots of artists that worked under another artist as an intern in their personal studio, like inking or coloring or doing backgrounds, or doing cleanup or lettering, and then they ended up getting into the business, after getting a modicum of experience. So there's different paths, but if your kid, you gotta really like make a judgment call. Like if your kid is good enough, if they're there or not. You can see, some kids, young people, they really need to work on their anatomy, or they really just need to work on their consistency, or they really, need to just keep practicing and just, they might not be there yet. So that's a big question too.
I think there's two things you can do without going to art school in order to become a comic book artist. Number one is every town has a life drawing figure model studio. You pay 10 to 15 bucks for 3 hours, and you draw, live nudes, male and female. You're going to learn very quickly what you don't understand about anatomy. You'll also come across really, really good artists that are there who have an excellent idea. And for the 10 to 15 bucks in 3 hours, and you stepping up to some of these individuals and showing your work off, and you're going to get some good feedback. The second thing is the old adage 1,000 shitty pages. You just got to make 1,000 shitty comic book pages. So you just like a little kid, you just start drawing. You write and draw and write and draw, and there's so many forums out there too that you can just if you're just interested in inking, hey, can you throw me some of your pencils my way, and let me ink them, and then I'll, show you what
That's
I'm doing, and then, who knows. But the idea that you're going to go to an art school and they're going to teach you how to be, a professional comic book artist. I think the majority of that professionalism is still touting getting it done, and having the work ethic and the professionalism of doing it, being able to have the technical craft and skill, yes, is a wonderful thing, but it's not going to override the fact that you can or can't make comic books, in a very
well, I mean, at the
professional manner.
yeah, the professional level, right? Because I just want to remind everybody, anybody can make comic books, and if it's fun for you, it's something that you like doing, go ahead and do it. If you want to work at the professional level, that's a different leap, and there's tons of paths into it. I'm sure there's every story out there. Um, but yeah, Kurt's right. You can practice. Life drawing is very valuable. It depends on what you do when you get in there, though, because you're going to see some people that spend the whole time painting. You're going to see some people that are doing charcoal or oil pastel in all different medium. And if you want to be a comic book artist, you might. My advice would be get in there, draw pencils, and then inks. Even if you're just using like a marker or something, but try to get it into comic book style. Something that you can translate that practice and experience to the page. As opposed to I'm just gonna have a picture of this lady, that's kicking around in my junk drawer. Make it a character. Make it, maybe a supporting character, or if the person is endowed with physical idealist,
Attributes.
idealized anatomy, make them into, the Black Panther or Gila or some, character where you're adding the costume and you're adding all the stuff to it, but you're using the figure. That's how I would approach it. But you
Well,
know,
the other thing too is I for a long time was doing a life drawing at DCAD, and gosh, I don't know how long ago this was, maybe like 7 years ago. But I met a really good friend. I met somebody who ended up becoming a really good friend, and who also is pursuing comics, at an independent level. And so a shout out to my buddy Carlos Torres, and Dirty Works at the Crossroads. So that's his title. But he's also, he does a lot. He does. He is a very quintessential, actively pursuing professional. He's making comics. Though maybe not so many people know about him yet, but you know,
well,
he's definitely
yeah. I mean, and
on.
people as they're listening to this, obviously you have a computer handy or a device handy. You're welcome to Google all the things we plug, all the things we mention. If you're into comics history, that's always one of our segments, and comic creators. Another news story, if we're in the news segment, was that I just saw a Detective Comics first appearance of Batman. I think it was Detective Comics 37 in 1940. Just sold, or yeah, it was. I think the bidding was still going on when I went to press, but it was over 1.5 million. So, you know, Batman's first appearance, and this was like a 6.5 graded copy, which there are. I think they said there were six other examples and only eight known examples of anything graded higher. I think there's only 40 copies of Detective Comics 37 in existence, according to the article. This was on CNN. So, 1.5 million. I don't know what it ended up at. Obviously it wasn't in the news. I would have seen it, but what a bastard stepchild compared to Action Number One, right?
Yeah. Well, it's down. It's getting down to that point, isn't it, where there's less and less of this stuff, and it coming onto the market. So they've got to really, push its
Yeah, I mean,
value.
it's such a weird thing, to have, a comic book from the 40s worth, it's basically from the 30s, because if it was, it was being made in the 30s if it came out in 1940. Um, to be worth $1 million when it's just paper that was low quality newsprint paper. Nobody thought anything of it, and
Deteriorating as we're talking
right,
right now.
it's deteriorating as it's talking. So the best thing they can do is encase it in, like, hermetically sealed plastic with non UV light and archival, blah blah blah, and but it's still got a time limit to it, and are they is somebody in 20 years from now going to be paying more than $1 million for that? How much is that deteriorating? Like, there's a science to this. There's like a forensic science to this. How much is it going to be deteriorating in the future? And, how many buyers are there going to be that are going to be able to turn a profit, or at least hold their investment? Maybe somebody buys it because they love Batman and they want to, have a home museum or something. But it's a lot of bread. And, it's also interesting because Action Comics number one broke 3 million. So, the first superhero period is considerably more valuable, in these crazy markets. But this is all just monopoly money to me. I can't even conceive of, I wouldn't pay $20 for a comic, let alone, a million. So, I'm having a hard time, understanding just, art collectors in general. I think it is monopoly money to them,
Yeah,
like
it's an
tech.
investment.
It's an investment, and the big name artists go up. They go up and up and up and up, and so it's well worth it for them. But the to the average middle class person, you just look at a headline like that and you go, "Wow, okay," and then like, okay, that's not something I'm going to be doing. I mean, I have a friend who's just a teacher, but he teaches in a good district, and he has a lot of number ones. I think he's got Avengers number one, and he's got um, I don't know if he's got X-Men number one. He really just plunked down long ago, and he bought some number ones like maybe Daredevil. I'm gonna ask him. Um, and he's got them graded and boarded and all that, and holding on to it, but they're just sitting there in his closet. So he's gonna either pass them down to his kids or try to sell it for a little profit, and it's been 15, 20 years. Maybe it's appreciated. It's crazy, crazy market, crazy thing,
Crazy times.
crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, well, I think the secret to being a successful collectible comic book artist is have your mom throw 85% of your stuff away for you.
Yeah. Oh, everybody's got that same story.
'Cause
I don't
that's,
want to hear it.
but no, I mean, that's the only reason these comic books were of any value, these old ones, is because, mothers just threw them all away. So it's just and the fact that the material they were made on were, it was a disposable entertainment, which brings me to, the reason I'm always in my comics making them or reading them and stuff like that is the escapism.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of times it's better than what's on television. You just can't beat it as an art form, and I use the art form in the term of like, it's not television, it's not movies, it's not animation, it's comic books. And somebody who really masters the storytelling mechanisms of it can really provide some escape, through
Right. I
writing
mean, it's
story.
it's a rare bird who, when we were all kids, and we were like, I was buying Howard the Duck for a quarter, and I couldn't get enough of it. I liked the story, and I was like, wow, this is a hot title. It's selling out, so I'm gonna collect every one. I didn't have that thing in my mind where I like, I'm gonna buy an extra copy and buy and keep it.
Yeah, yeah, it's seal. We did for a while, my brother and I.
Good for you. Yeah. I mean, I only bought my reader copy, and you know, and then, when I realized, I started working in comic book stores when I was young, and I realized, wow, these things are valuable. And so it was way too late. I mean, you had that, when Howard the Duck is number one on the newsstand and it's a quarter, and you don't buy five of them, you're just like looking to read and escape, you know. And so yeah, I learned the hard way. But I have that story. It wasn't my mom, it was my dad, and I had about maybe 3,000 excuse me, 3,000 comics in my room. They were everywhere. And my dad goes, yeah, you're getting rid of them, and you can keep 1,000 comics. And no, he didn't. It wasn't even that much. He was like, you can keep like, three. I forget, or like 500 comics. Just like this space right here. So I had to bring all my X-Men. I had the whole run of all the new X-Men, and certainly, 94. I think I got 94 for a dollar. used. It had a rip on the front cover, but I had X-Men 94, which is the first, the first floppy of the new X-Men. And I had the complete run. I go down to West Side Comics, which was on 86th Street, and just waiting for me there was this bearded jerk. He said, well, I'll give you, I think I got $500 for over 1,000, like thousands of comics, and including a full run of the X-Men. And the guy was just salivating. He was giving me pennies on the dollar.
What year was this?
My dad made me do this in probably junior high. I must have been in like seventh grade, eighth grade, something like that. Probably seventh grade, because by eighth grade I would have been smarter. Um, I would have fought back. I don't know. I would have done something. So what happened was later in life, I'm with my dad, and we had like a res. Oh yeah, we were waiting for some people at a restaurant, and right next door there was a comic book store. So I take him in there, and up on the wall is like X-Men 101, X-Men 102, X-Men 103. They're all up there on in sequence, and they're all selling for $50 a piece, right? So this is probably the 90s now, or maybe, yeah, this is probably like the mid 90s. And he goes, "Okay, okay, I messed up," and then he loaned me money for a car, so to make up for it. So, you know, he at least had remorse. But I had everything. I collected Daredevil, I collected X-Men, I collected Avengers, Defenders. I would have had runs on all the Defenders. I had Master Kung Fu. I had Commandy. I had all my favorites, and of course Spider-Man, Marvel Tales, Marvel Team Up. All the great stuff. I wasn't into Thor, but I might have had a couple of issues of anything, and then I was definitely into good girl art, so I was into like Rima the Jungle Girl, or any stuff like that, any kind of cheesecake titles that might have been out there, and just a lot of random stuff, but it all added up to thousands of comics, and I had that story just like everybody else.
And so we're coming on the 45-minute mark. And
Oh yeah, we
let me put
didn't uh,
this.
we didn't do the segment where we jump ahead. We could. I don't have too much, but I only have like literally a couple more panels, maybe. But
What page are you on right now?
I'm still working on the page I was working on last week,
Great.
because
Yeah, I'm still on page 6, issue 1. So you're still on page 3, issue 2.
yeah,
So
I'm having trouble. Honestly, I'm going kind of slow with this panel because I realize I'm inventing this character at the same time, and I'm thinking really carefully about how to draw
and
her.
this is Frisky Embra.
Frisky Embra, yeah.
Have you come up with any thoughts based
Well,
on our last episode where I was like talking? I actually in the last episode I put a photograph from the Brazil with the main character's mom wearing the shoe for a hat.
right.
So, but have you come to any I want to definitely not do like this or a lot like that or
Well, I don't want to put a shoe on her hand. I think that might be distracting without an explanation.
yeah.
But I'm just drawing her here, if you can see, just like really scantily clad. And which will be a kind of a what do they call it? Foreshortening. What am I trying to say? When you're alluding to something that comes later. Foregrounding, no,
Foreshadowing.
foreshadowing, right, right. I don't know, I'm losing my mind, but yeah, I definitely have COVID fog, but yeah, she'll be a foreshadowing of Trophy Girl later, and you were talking about the idea of having tattoos on the face or decorations on the face.
Yeah.
Like they do that a little bit in the oh God, I'm losing my marbles here. And they do that in a lot of sci-fi where, people just decorate their bodies in the future. I wanted to show her veins, I wanted to definitely show her veins. So, maybe when people go out, they'll dress them up. I'm definitely going to use that, but here I want to have the contrast because it's still early in the storytelling between the glowers and the veiners. So I was just having her scantily clad, and she's supposed to be very young, so jailbait or whatever. But Turbo's young too, so um, no, I was just making her like basically just scantily clad.
Right.
Um,
She's got the glasses.
yeah, I gave her the substitute teacher glasses. I wanted to give her something distinctive, but um, yeah, I mean, I wonder where they get glasses. I mean, luckily her parents are pharmacists or own this drugstore, so maybe she doesn't have to worry. But this is the
Yeah,
first,
maybe they're magnifiers like you get on the spinner rack.
right? Well,
And she's wearing.
yeah, the dad will have the magnifiers for when he's looking up the radioactive piece. But yeah, just I'm on that same page. I'm going a little bit slow. I did kind of skip around if people were looking here. I kind of go into this next sequence where she's gonna say, "Hey, your face, you're a glower. Hey, I'm not used to being touched." And just kind of recoils. But in the planning, um, this is where we're at. They're gonna start making out, and then they're gonna go to a flashback. I mean, they're gonna go back to the present day. Where I got to, if people remember, we were laying siege to the orphanage. And this is when Turbo's done at the pharmacy making the trade, and goes back to the orphanage, finds it under attack. Remember Dishvan the slaver, and then when we cut to the present day. Oh yeah, so we have two little threads going on: the present day attack by the hate breeders, and then that that flashback sequence. So I was just planning out the present day sequence, and I'm not sure where I left off, but they're getting chased by this van, and you can definitely think Road Warrior here. The motorcycles and the crossbows and everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I added a little bit of dialogue. The driver of the van is Gopher, and she's telling Gopher keep it floored and head up the mountain pass, and she's gonna go up this mountain, so things are gonna get very precarious. They release these chains with these mace balls on them to take out some of their tires, and it works. And you're gonna see all these collisions and explosions of some of the vehicles, and it'll thin it out. But here they're gonna jump on the roof, and they're gonna say still plenty more of them. They multiply like rats. And this is when Turbo is going to tell the trophy girl that she's got to, help fight these guys, and she wants, uh, you need to take out their wheels, and she's going to give them these little devices here. What is this? We call them tumble wire eggs, compressed springs inside, and it opens up to these like just like a tumbleweed of wire that will take out uh, their wheels. And then she goes, "Me? What if I miss?" She's like, "You're all we got at this point. Do you just drop them in front of where they're riding?" And then the next sequence, since they're already up on the roof, is that they're crashing in with crazy weapons into the cab, and they're going to set up. Yeah, and I also note that they have their eyes on the van. They want the van. So as well as the women are obviously. So they haven't shot out the tires, and they're not like setting it on fire or anything. They just want to get the inhabitants. and that's all I'm up to. So I didn't go too far ahead this week, but I'm just planning out the action sequence, which is going to take a couple of pages, maybe two more pages of fighting, and then they will get to a respite, and that's when we will introduce the mechanic character for the first time. So we're just going a little bit at a time, and any input is always welcome. If you're watching this and you want to email us through the links and you have a great idea, we're all ears. But otherwise, what happens is, you put the stuff down and then you pick it up later and then you say, oh, yeah, I know. I'll do this, I'll do that. And so that's how I work. Like, I just need to take a break and come back to it. And then your mind kind of, kicks in. You're in a different creative mindset, and you eventually know what to do. By the time I'm penciling, I'll definitely be plotting ahead with all those sequences.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I like stopping. I don't want to say abruptly, but even getting to a point where I might feel like, I don't really know if I'm going to go this way or that way, and then in the back of your mind you think about it, and then somewhere, from the time that I've left the drawing table to I know I'm going to go back to it, the next day or what later in that day, I'll be like, no, I think I'm going to give it this direction. So, I think it's a good thing to put things down. I've stated and bring it up. I don't ink a page 100%
Yeah.
and then move to the next page. I really do enjoy getting it up to a point. As a matter of fact, I keep
I
this is a I work 13 by 19 and inking, and then this is an 11 by 17 I print out, and then I haven't made any marks yet. Oh yeah, I did actually. You can see I've made red marks on ideas, like our hands pressing up, so you would get that, the shape around the hand, the palm, and the fingers and stuff, and going more black so I can bring white lines through and stuff. So I just start thinking, and then as I get to that point, I'll make a decision from there. So, there's always different ways of going about it, but
I don't know if this is
you know,
just a preview, but when I'm looking at what you're doing, it's very, very JPEGy and pixelated.
yeah, they said that whatever each of us sees is
It's not the final
going to be.
low res.
Yeah, it's not. When I stop recording, it'll then render to the
Oh,
server,
nice.
and then I can actually download. I can edit. I can make clips for Instagram, so I can put, your video on top of mine, and then
Yeah.
export it for like those reels and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, it looks like we're probably going to move there,
Well,
and
you
so we're
got
gonna.
to bring it all the way through the workflow, and
Yeah,
you'll
I gotta.
see.
Yep, this will be the first time though. I did a couple tests. I sent you one of them, yes, from yesterday, and then this will be, and those were only like 2 minutes long. So this is going to be an hour long. Then I'll obviously edit down. But with that being said, we say goodbye, and I'll be putting the outro music, which is the Von Ghouls. There's also, and that's your band, Jake.
Yeah, we're
And there's a
practicing on the
link down in the
27th.
description.
Yeah,
You have a what?
I'm excited. We're practicing for the first time in a while on the 27th. So
Oh,
we're gonna be
all right.
back
In person.
in the back in the flesh. Yeah,
Nice.
and thanks for doing all this prep work. I know you got to research apps and find stuff. So it hasn't gone unnoticed.
Nah, thank you. You're welcome. All right, then. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week. We upload videos now officially every week, Sundays at 11 a.m., which is exactly the same time when Jake and I get together to make a video. So thank you very much. And also, you can follow us on, both of us on Instagram, where we'll do a lot of social posting ahead of time for the the episode to drop. So thank you very much. Have a great
Thank
one.
you very much.
Bye bye.